Hello, class. My name is Sarah Tafik, and today I'm going to be presenting my research project proposal. Um, so let's get into it. So the research topic that I chose for this specific course was understanding student responses to distance learning versus in-person learning. I thought it was an extremely relevant topic to just kind of what we're experiencing now and um, how to handle it and everything. So, a couple of the data analysis themes that I have kind of collected through this topic was understanding human needs, as well as student health and well-being. Number two is dialogue between individuals, so student to student dialogue, instructor to student dialogue, and instructor to instructor dialogue. Now, just as a forewarning, the instructor to instructor dialogue isn't as it's not as in-depth as the student to student dialogue and instructor to student dialogue that I researched. And then the third one is student social life. The fourth is student creativity and their form of expression, so how much they express themselves outside of the campus ground. And then student home life. So the topic question is, how is learning and emotional development for students in distance learning different than in-person learning? So the research documents, so basically in the next couple slides, I'm going to be explaining just kind of the evidence and the research that I've collected since beginning this class. So the first was the research documents and then analysis for the research documents. So I actually did the research documents on creativity, and having assessed the research documents, I have found that assignments and assessments will help students evaluate their own work through the semester and have a better understanding of how their skills and or understanding is developed through the scope of learning art. So this is the same for most students. It's when we have an assessment about their, like, the quality of their work, and basically just having assessments, class reviews, class assessments on just different material that we have, as well as their own projects. It actually motivates them to succeed in the class. So I will say that in that kind of way, it is a little bit more difficult to kind of create assessments over, and a lot of students prefer just in-person learning when it comes to assessments rather than online learning. So another assessment that I picked up on is creative activities confront how we feel about things. So a lot of the time in any age range or anything like that, when we give creative projects and when we give creative assignments to our students, they are more likely to succeed and more likely to want to understand what they're learning. So, it is very possible and probable to do this kind of these kinds of assessments and these kind of assignments over Zoom. However, it is just easier participation wise to do it through just on in-person learning. So another research tool that we used over the semester was the survey research, which I had conducted and asked students to kind of answer a couple questions regarding their online learning program. So overall, students enjoyed online school less than in person. spent more time on classes and homework and found it more difficult to learn through the online program. So, when asked, have you enjoyed the online learning program more than in-person learning? Quite a few of the students had basically mentioned how they did not enjoy the online learning program more because of the fact that they found their instructors less accessible in that kind of way. So, about 6 of the 11 individuals that had actually participated in the research had basically said that they have trouble with this specific topic. When it came to the classroom observation, that kind of reiterated exactly what we were talking about, which was students understand more and connect more when engaged with their instructor. So the more that the instructors kind of engaged the students and the more that they found that they were able to participate, the better the experience of an online learning was for them. So the interview process was actually my favorite process in the entire just in the entire semester, and that was because I received the most information out of that process. Basically, a lot of the 2 students that I had interviewed, they had basically just assured me of these conclusions, which were many students feel more engaged with their classes if they see that their instructor is more engaged with the class. Distance learning does not allow for students to develop meaningful relationships with one another, especially with the in-person connection that they lack over technology. So a lot of the time, basically students kind of feel like they are in isolation when they are within the confines of their own home. And at the same time, they were not able to necessarily connect with their classmates through something such as Zoom because of the fact that you don't have a personal connection, that personal connection that you do when you're in person. And then the last 2 are because distance learning makes it difficult to become motivated. Many students lose their ability and interest in their creative connection, and that it is actually the one pro that I had found in the entire interview process was that it is actually easier to work from home because they find that they are, slightly less distracted by their surroundings, however more distracted and less motivated than if they were around their classmates and their instructors. So my primary population for this study was students grades 2 to 12, students college and postgraduates, and instructors. So I did interview the instructor for a short period of time after I got the opportunity to observe his classroom, as well as I had one grad student for the interview process, and then quite a few of my survey individuals, like the people that surveyed with me, they were students from across the board. So the research design that I decided to go with for this specific project, or this specific just research report, is grounded theory methodology, and I actually believe that this was the best kind of methodology to use under the circumstance that you kind of want to learn about, just a specific phenomenon that we don't necessarily have too much research on, because we hadn't necessarily experienced something like this within our lifetime. So the reason that I thought that it was quite easy to use grounded theory is because it's structured and flexible, and it is appropriate when you have little information about the subject. So you can grow upon it too. And then you use grounded theory methodology through transcripts of interviews and understanding common themes. So once you kind of have developed the research that you do have, you can incorporate the common themes that you have about it. So there was a lot that I learned from the process, and there is quite a bit that I would also do differently. So the first thing is, this is a subject that many researchers can evaluate and analyze in depth if they were to write a research proposal and report on it. So I guess one of the things that I wish that I could, go back and do is to conduct more research, actually. So I just want to take slightly more time collecting the data through the data collection process before going on to analyzing the data itself. And there needs to be more data conducted within a wider group of people over time in order to build a better understanding and interpret the data properly. So basically, again, I really think that there's so much potential in understanding this subject and so much potential in the way that we kind of approach it that we could see how each student kind of reacts to the in-person versus online learning programs. So I will say that although I truly enjoyed working on this specific topic for the course, I do believe that there are more more interesting topics to me that I would definitely want to kind of conduct research on and to analyze in a more just thorough way. So one of them is the impacts of art education on vulnerable communities. And the research question would be, how does art education as well as art therapy have an impact on more vulnerable communities, specifically elderly suffering with dementia? So the research population would be elderly with dementia. It doesn't necessarily have to be the elderly with dementia. It's just more that vulnerable community, basically, as well as individuals working closely with this community too. And then I decided to go with case study methodology for this specific study, because of the fact that the investigation process would be, more on the lines of a case study, as well as the fact that it's appropriate when trying to understand the complexity of behavior. And I feel like with this specific subject, you have to know the complexity of the behavior. So the way that I would do this is interviews, observation, and primary and secondary sources, which basically means just pictures, newspapers, any kind of tool to help me try to analyze what those individuals are feeling. So this class, it taught me very many things. It taught me how to conduct research. It taught me, the different types of research, but I will say that this course allowed me to get a glimpse into how research analysis, observation, and an interview process will be approached, as well as, just simple tools to kind of develop that research and, make it into an actual study. So that is really exciting. And here are the references that I used for my presentation. And I did use PowerPoint as well as Loom. And yeah, it was such a pleasure to take this course, and um, I hope that all of you got as much out of it as I did. Thank you so much.